Hey there, fourth grade. This is Mr. Campbell. Today we're going to be working on page 261. This is going to be lesson 7.1, Understanding Factors. Now, at the end of today, we want you to be able to say, I can find the factor pairs of a whole number. All right. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what does that mean, or how does that work, and how does that look. But really, at the end of the day, what we're saying is when we have a number, let's just say the number 8. All right. I want to know what are all the ways that I can multiply things together to get to 8. And so when I see 8, I can do, well, 1 times 8 will give me 8, right? And then I can also do 2 times 4 will give me 8, right? Can I multiply 3 by anything? No. Can I multiply 4? Yeah, I can do 4 times 2, which is my turnaround fact. And then, of course, I can do 8 times 1. These are all of my factors for 8. And that's what we're going to be looking at a little bit later today as we go through our pages. So let's go ahead and go to page 262 and check out what this looks like there. So here we are on page 262, and up here it says, the music director is trying to find the best way to arrange the chairs for a performance. The chairs must be arranged in a rectangular array. How many different ways could the chairs be arranged into a rectangular array? Use grids to show all the ways that chairs could be arranged. All right, and then it says, pairs of whole numbers multiplied together to find a product are called factor pairs, and product is the answer to a multiplication problem. So when we have factor pairs, it's the two things we multiply together to get an answer. Think about multiplication to decompose a number into its factors. So here we've got our 12 chairs, right? So the music director wants to know what are some ways that we could arrange them. So here we go. Let's go ahead and take a look at box B. It says we could make one row of 12 chairs, right? Or we could do 12 rows of one chair. So 1 times 12 or 12 times 1. All right. And again, those are called turnaround facts, where we use the same numbers, we just flip them around. And the associative property tells us that we can do that. All right. So that means 1 and 12 are a factor pair. All right. Well, are there other ways that we could arrange these chairs? Absolutely. Box C says 2 rows of 6 chairs. So we've got 1, 2, and in each of those, there's 6 chairs. Or we can flip that around and say 6 rows, and in every single row, there are 2 chairs. All right? So that means 2 and 6 are another factor pair. And then box B says, well, we could also do 3 rows, and in each row, we've got 4 chairs, right? Or we could do 4 rows with 3 chairs. So 3 and 4 are a factor pair. There are 6 possible ways the 12 chairs can be arranged. And what they mean by that is each one of these, so going across and then up and down on each of these, are all different ways that they could be arranged. All right. But our factor pairs are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. And then we can move those around a little bit more. All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at page 263 and see if we can figure out a little bit more of this. All right, so here we are on page 263, and it says you can find all the factor pairs for each number in 3 and 4 and use grids to help, right? And so I've got my grid paper over here to help me out. So my first one is going to be 6. And whenever we're starting, I can always do 1 times, right? So I'm going to make 1 row, and inside of there, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so this is 1 times 6. 1 row with 6 inside of it. I can also then flip that upside down, right? I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. And so this is 6 times 1. It's just the flipped around fact. All right. Well, what about 2? Can I use 2? Well, if I did 2, then I would have 2, 4, and 6. 2 rows, 1, 2. And how many are in each row? 1, 2, 3. So 2 times 3. And then I can flip that around and say, well, I can also do 3 rows with 2 in each row, right? So 3 times 2. Is there anything else that I can do? No, right? Those are all the ones that I've got. So these are all my factor pairs. I need to list all of those out when I write this down. So for number 3, grab your pencil with me, and we're going to write each of these. So I'm going to put 1 times 6. All right, and I'm using red today just to stand out a little bit more. And then I've got my turnaround fact of 6 times 1. All right, I've got 2 times 3. And then I've got 3 times 2. All right, so I've got some different choices here of what I can do. Those are all the different factor pairs. All right. Well, number 4 is going to be a little bit trickier because it's a little bit bigger of a number. All right. But we're going to do the same exact thing. All right. So I'm going to have to go ahead and zoom out a little bit for my graph paper here. All right. Let me slide that up. Perfect. All right. So I actually have going across here is only going to be 14. So we're going to have to use our imagination a little bit on this first one. All right, so I added 1 on each side because this is 1 row. So I'm going to put 1, and then I'm going to put times. And how many is in there? Well, there's 16. 1 times 16, because we can always do the number by itself. All right, and then I'm not actually going to use my graph paper because I don't have 16 going down, but I can flip it around and say I have 16 rows with 1 in each way. So it's just my turnaround fact again. All right. Well, I always like to go in rhythm. So I start with 1, then I say, well, can I do 2? And I can, right? I can count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. All right. So I had 2 rows. And how many are in each row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 times 8. All right. Well, I can do my flip it around fact for that one too. And I can say, here I go. All right. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I had to add a few more for that one as well. All right. So here are all of mine. So here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows. And how many are in each one? There's 2 blocks in each row. So 8 times 2. All right. Well, can I do 3? Can I skip count by 3s? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So that's not going to work. What about 4? Hey, I can do 4, can't I? 1, 2, 3, 4. And in each row, how many do I need to have? I hope you said 4 because 1, 2, 3, 4 rows with 4 in each row. 4 times 4 is going to give me 16. And when I see that, when I go past that, I can go to 5. 5 times 3, no. All right. So I'm now done because 8 times 2 and 2 times 9, 1 times 16. So I've gone all the way through my different factors. All right. So now I'm going to write out my factor pairs. So again, when I do this, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit more for us again. All right. When I do this, I'm going to start with 1 times 16. And then I'll put a little comma here. And then I'm going to do 16 times 1. It's turnaround facts. All right. I'll put another comma and I'll go 2 times 16 and 2 times 8. I wrote the wrong thing. I'm sorry about that. 2 times 8. And then I'm going to say 8 times 2. Turnaround facts, right? And then my last one that I've got is just going to be 4 times 4. And I don't need to rewrite that because I've already written that equation. All right. Here's how we do our factor pairs. We're writing all the ones that we multiply together. But now we're going to change it up a little bit. All right. A factor is the things that we multiply. And so factor pairs is what are the 2 things we multiply together. Well, now we just want to find the factors of each number. Just the factors of each number. All right. So when we do this, we're going to go, okay, well, I can go take it a step back. When we do our factors, if you want to use grid paper, you can do that. It can help you out. But usually what I like to do when I'm trying to find my factors is I'll kind of do the same thing, but I'm going to write out my different problems. So 45. Well, I know 1 times 45. All right. And now I'm going to say 2. Well, 2 times 45. I've got multiplication charts I'm looking across, and I don't see any 45s in the number 2. So I go on to number 3. All right. Can I multiply 3 by anything? That'll get me to 45. Well, oh, I do see one. I see 3 times 15. 15, 30, and then 45. All right. When I look across my 4s, I don't see any 45s. When I look across my 5s, hey, I see one. 5 times 9. All right. When I look across my 6s, I don't see anything. When I look across my 7s, I don't see anything. When I look across my 8s, I don't see anything. When I look at my 9s, ooh, I see 9 times 5. And I'm now doing my turnaround facts. I could keep going, but I know that my turnaround facts are just going to be like this. Right? So what that really means is these are all of the factor pairs without a turnaround. All right. So then I've got my turnaround facts down here. When I want to know factors, I'm not going to include this multiplication sign. I'm only going to include the numbers. All right. So watch this. So here I've got 1 and 45. So I'm going to put 1, comma, 45, comma, 3, comma, 15, comma, 5, comma, and 9. I'm not going to list them a second time. I'm not including the multiplication sign that I had up here because I wanted to know pairs while I was up there. I don't want to know pairs. I just want to know what are the numbers that I do need to multiply in order to be able to get to my 45. Okay? So that's one of the ways that we can do that. All right, let's go ahead and try another one. All right, so let me slide that away. Let's take a look at number 6. Now, number 6 is a little bit easier because we might know a few of these a little bit better. But let's go ahead and start off. What's the first one we're going to start with? Well, if I'm looking for factor pairs, I know I can always multiply my number by 1, right? 1 times 30. All right. And now I can go, what about 2? Can I multiply 2 by anything? And I go, yeah, I can do 2 times 15. All right. Next up, I've got 3. Well, 3 times 10, right? 3 times 10. I'm seeing a pattern here. They're all by 5s, aren't they? Interesting. All right, what about 4? Can I times 4 by anything to get to 30? No, I can't do that. Can I do 5? Yeah, I can do 5 times 6, right? All right, so we had 1, 2, 3, 4 didn't work, 5, 6 is going to start my turnaround facts. So that means I'll have 6 times 5. That means I'll have 10 times 3. That means I'll have 15 times 2 and 30 times 1. So I'm going to put my line here where my turnaround facts happened. All right, these are all my factor pairs. Now I just need to figure out what are the factors. So when I write down my factors, I'm just going to write the numbers. So 1, comma, 30. 2, 15. And in between each of these numbers, I put my comma so that way it's very easy for me to see the difference between these different ones. And then 5 and 6. These are my factors. There's a big difference between factor pairs and factors. All right. You have to be really careful while you're looking to see what those different ones are. All right. So today, as you are working on your independent practice, go ahead and if you need to ask for some grid paper, make sure you're asking for that. Otherwise, make sure you follow along. Underline what you see. Write the factors. Use the grids to find all possible arrays. All right. Use the grids to find the factor pairs for each number. All right. Underline those important information because if it's supposed to be a factor pair, you need that multiplication sign. And if it's just asking for factors, then you know you can just include all the numbers that are going to be used when you're multiplying them together. Well, thanks for working with me today. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the day. We will see you next time. Have a good one, 4th grade.